Welcome back to Newsday. We move over to South Africa, where in a historic shift, the African National Congress has lost its parliamentary majority for the first time since the end of apartheid following last week's election. Final results announced on Sunday showed the ANC scoring only 40.2% of the vote, a significant drop from 57.5% in 2019. This means the ANC will need to form a coalition to govern. President Cyril Ramaphosa called on political parties to work together for the nation's good, adding that South Africans expect cooperation. The ANC won 159 seats in the 400 seats National Assembly, far short of a majority. Coalition talks are expected to be intense with potential partners, including the Democratic Alliance, which won 21.8%, and the MK, led by former President Jacob Zuma, which scored 14.6%. President Ramaphosa has urged the nation to reject violence and instability following these results.
All right, joining us from South Africa to discuss the aftermath of the election is Kundai Vambe, columnist at the Southern African Times. I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. Kundai, when we spoke yesterday, you said the results were going to be announced, and talk to us the aftermath of the announcement by the IEC. How is the nation feeling about the elections that have just been announced?
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's quite a very tense situation at the moment. The uncertainty is what is prevalent in the country amidst the talk about coalitions. So there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment and a lot of tensions.
Well, we understand that there are reports that Jacob Zuma's MK party might challenge the result and that he has said he's not willing to work with the ANC if Mr. Ramaphosa is still the leader of the party. What more can you tell us about this?
Okay, I think former President Jacob Zuma has already initiated challenges to the election results, but unfortunately it's a legal process. At this moment, I think the main focus is on possible coalitions. And yes, the MK party has said they will not go into any coalition talks that involve the ANC of President Cyril Ramaphosa, which essentially means they want President Ramaphosa out of the picture for them to negotiate any coalition talks. That is correct. At the same time, the ANC Secretary General was very clear yesterday. Fikile Mbalula said any request to get rid of President Ramaphosa as a condition for coalitions is unwelcome.
All right, Kundai, talk to me. There have been talks about irregularities in the voting, and also some have actually screamed off electoral rigging. Are there any facts to this? They are just mere words being thrown around by some disgruntled parties in this particular political election?
Interestingly, yesterday, the IEC admitted to some errors on their part, and they are to investigate the errors, and this should be done before the results are gazetted. So themselves having admitted such errors brings a lot into question, and I guess eventually it's going to be a matter of the legal systems to deal with that.
Well, we do know that the Democratic Alliance, is open to coalition talks with the ANC. What are their terms and how do you see that playing out? Is that something that you think South African citizens would welcome?
At this moment, there are no clear terms at this moment. But I'm just going to take you through the possible ANC and Democratic Alliance coalition, what it could mean, rather. This is being viewed as an option that will please the markets. So from an economic perspective, it seems to be the preferred coalition among the people. And it will also bring improved accountability. But we also need to bear in mind that to a large extent, the wounds of apartheid are still intact. They're still there. And you bringing in ANC and the DA in the same room is quite complex, especially given the historical differences in the country. So now, for the ANC voters, it might not be such a welcome option because you are talking about almost diluting what the ANC originally stands for. There's major differences in policy between the ANC and the DA. The DA has constantly accused the ANC of being very corrupt. So there's a lot of mistrust. And quite recently, the DA has been trying to drag the current ANC deputy president, Paul Mashatule, to the courts and demanding his prosecution for corruption. So it's very complex. It is also viewed as an option that will slow down the transformation agenda that the ANC is currently trying to push. For example, there's the recently introduced NHI, which is the National Health Insurance Bill, and the Bella Bill as well. These are expected to take a very huge knock, and yet they are very pivotal in ANC's transformation agenda. So there is a lot of differences, not even to mention the foreign policy differences, where the ANC is more inclined to the people of Gaza, contrary to the DA.
All right, quickly, I'd like to hear from you, Kundai. Do you think the next 2 weeks there can be a consensus out of them? Because there are also talks that the Inkatha Freedom Party would also be part of such deals when they are opening themselves to cooperation and try to form a coalition. Talk to us about it.
The next 2 weeks, it is very difficult at this moment to say whether we're going to have an outcome, a consensus or not. The options are quite intense and they've got different intricacies and complexities. Yes, there is talk of the IFP coming in, and bearing in mind that IFP and the ANC do not vary much in terms of the ideology and the transformation agenda. So it's quite interesting to see how this is going to play out, but at this moment it's too early to see to say if whether or not there will be an outcome or a consensus.
Well, just before we let you go, I'd like to know how the EFF, is reacting to the results and if they're also open, probably to a coalition with the ANC.
Okay, interestingly, yes, the EFF has said they are open to a coalition with the ANC, and this brings us to another option which we have as a coalition option, which is a possible ANC, MK, and EFF coalition. So this option here is viewed as an option that can speed up the ANC transformation agenda. Contrary to the coalition with the DA, it does not really tamper with the fundamentals of what the ANC stands for. It is also viewed as an option that will bring solidarity between the three, as they all believe in the BRICS agenda and also are inclined on the same position as far as Gaza is concerned. So this is viewed as probably an ideal coalition that does not tamper with the fundamentals of what the ANC itself as a revolutionary movement stands for.
I want to say many thanks to you, Kundai Vambe, a columnist at the Southern African Times.